Hello there. Well, it has been, like 2 or 3 weeks since I made my last video talking about this open gaming license, Wizards of the Coast D&D thing. I didn't think I would be making another video on it so quickly, but a lot has happened in that time. First and foremost, I really just wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to everyone for the response to my previous video. I was really uncertain about it. I was worried that folks would be angry, wouldn't understand, wouldn't care, or because I haven't made a video on this channel in like 2 years, wouldn't even watch it. But the response honestly couldn't have been better. Everyone has been so understanding of the stress and worry this whole thing caused, as well as the ramifications for creators and publishers. People have really rallied behind this as being something harmful to the D&D TTRPG community, and just shown me so much kindness. It just really blew my mind. Everyone from High Rollers fans to D&D community people to RPG designers, publishers, and many more have messaged me on Twitter or left comments and emailed me to say how much they liked the video, how it conveyed how they themselves were feeling, and also how much they appreciated it was a sincere and measured response, which were two things that were very important to me when I was making it. So yeah, just a massive thank you to everyone who commented, messaged me, shared the video, retweeted it, etc. And I want to give special thanks to my friend Ginny D for mentioning me in her own video. I know Ginny has been struggling with all this so much as well, and for her to share my video meant a lot. So please do go show Ginny the same kindness and support you gave me as well. Secondly, a lot of people have been asking me how I'm doing, checking in on me via Twitter or comments or in my Discord, etc. And I wanted to let you all know that since making that video and the amazing response to it, I have felt so much better. I slept like a baby after that video went out, and I've been feeling just so much more energized and ready to tackle what comes next. I'm not really sure exactly what next is yet, especially with the most recent update from Wizards of the Coast, but I think this whole thing has changed my relationship with D&D the brand and D&D the game as a whole. Things certainly won't go back to how they were, and I actually think that's a good thing. I started working on my own heroic fantasy RPG for one. I've always loved making my own homebrew content for D&D, from classes, subclasses, new systems and mechanics for different parts of the game, new spells, races, etc. And whilst it's fun to try and make my ideas work in another system, I kind of realized that it might be fun to make something on my own. Blend parts of the games I do like, strip out the parts I don't, and add my own ideas and creative spin to things. It's a long ways off yet, and I'm not expecting to make the next Pathfinder or Dungeon World, but it's fun and it's rewarding, and it's made me feel a lot better about the possibility of not making more D&D 5e content. I've also been using the time to check out loads of new tabletop role-playing games and systems. I already own a lot of non-D&D games. I've got a whole shelf of them around here, and I've been reading through the unplayed rulebooks and starter sets, and hopefully going to start doing some mini campaigns on my show High Rollers and my own Twitch channel as well. I've also been checking out new stuff I haven't looked into before, like Pathfinder 2nd Edition and various other games too. And finally, I feel very confident about making DMing, GMing advice videos and Patreon content that is applicable or usable for lots of games, or creating game materials like monsters, etc. with advice and additional info so that you can adapt it to fit a variety of systems. So that also takes a lot of the pressure off too. In fact, you should be seeing a new DMing, GMing advice video and a Patreon drop next week. So yeah, I'm doing really good. Thank you so much. I'm doing so much better. Thanks for asking. And finally, I thought I should give you an update on where everything stands currently with the OGL and Wizards of the Coast. Since I posted my last video, Wizards of the Coast made 2 new statements, both coming from the executive lead on D&D, Kyle Brink. There's been far more communication on social media, and the tone of all these messages has shifted significantly. No more "we all won" kind of smugness. Kyle laid out the plans to be more open and transparent regarding the OGL changes, and that any further changes would be subject to community feedback. Lots of promises were being made about listening to the community and doing what they felt was best for the game and earning back trust. A draft 1.2 OGL was released publicly to everyone, with a survey system to gather feedback. The OGL 1.2 draft was examined closely by industry experts, legal experts, and a lot of creators, and was found to still be significantly lacking. The draft contained lots of dubious legal language, loopholes, hidden clauses, and seemed firm on the idea that Wizards would still deauthorize the 1.0a OGL and render it unusable. The new 1.2 draft also included a new section regarding VTTs, or virtual tabletops like Foundry and Roll20, that severely limited them from adding features, and many believe that this was an intent to monopolize on the market. Wizards, via the D&D Beyond Twitter, did respond on a couple of these topics to clarify some things and suggest that they would re-examine these concerns following everyone's feedback. Another big part of this 1.2 draft OGL was an announcement that Wizards would make a portion of the SRD, the Systems Reference Document 5.1, available under the Creative Commons license, a non-commercial one. A huge change from the original OGL 1.1 proposed a few weeks ago. To refresh your memory, the Systems Reference Document, or SRD, is basically a collection of core gameplay rules, specific terminology, and expressions of those rules that creators, designers, and third parties use to make compatible 5th edition D&D content. Under Creative Commons, the sections of the SRD WotC specified would be irrevocably available to use without even needing the OGL at all. The Wizards team encouraged everyone to submit their feedback via the surveys. There was some confusion about some mistaken information given by a D&D insider to a content creator. It was then later rebuffed and retracted. It was still very messy, as the 1.2 draft OGL was generally still seen as an unviable solution with a lot of harmful hidden clauses for creators. Many of us expected that this would be an ongoing discussion. Wizards would take on the feedback, change a few things, compromise here and there, but there would be a few things that were simply hard lines for Wizards as a company and a community where negotiation just wouldn't be an option. I personally expected that this would go on for months, with new rounds of feedback, new changes, reviews by legal experts and industry vets, etc. And then yesterday, Wizards really did the unexpected. Kyle Brink, executive lead on D&D, posted to D&D Beyond that after reviewing the survey data, showing 88% of players wouldn't publish content under OGL 1.2, 89% were not happy with the deauthorization of OGL 1.0a, and 86% were dissatisfied with the new virtual tabletop policy, Wizards have decided to leave the OGL 1.0 in place, untouched. Not only that, but Wizards, having seen that the community was 62% in favor of the SRD being made available under Creative Commons, but many suggesting that more of the SRD should be added to make it usable, Wizards released the entire 5.1 SRD under Creative Commons. That basically covers the entire core rules of D&D 5th edition, available to be used for free under Creative Commons forever, completely out of Wizards' hands. They would no longer be able to change that or affect content using the Creative Commons license. I'll be honest, I couldn't believe this when my pal Brett told me about it. I was absolutely shell-shocked. I thought the deauthorization of 1.0a was Wizards' hard line. I know that a lot of their reasons for pushing that in the first place is protecting themselves against media rivals and competitors, and to back down completely is just not something you see companies do very often. But making the entire 5.1 SRD available under Creative Commons is a big deal. A lot of folks will argue the point about game mechanics can't be copyrighted anyway, but that kind of shows a lack of understanding of how D&D compatible content is actually created. Game designers and third-party publishers know that game mechanics can't be copyrighted, but the SRD and OGL made it so that you can use the same expressions of the rules as the core books, as well as being legally safer and without any ambiguity, and thus made it easier for users to add that content to their games. Third-party publishers have been making content under the OGL for decades. They have their own legal teams and experts, and they knew that whilst game mechanics can't be copyrighted, there's a lot of uncertainty on what actually could be copyrightable from the core rules of D&D. You can't copyright rolling a d20 and adding a number, but you might be able to copyright a creature must make a strength saving throw with a disadvantage against DC 18 to avoid being knocked prone. Anyway, legal arguments aside, with everything now under Creative Commons, we don't need the OGL. Any ambiguity is gone. We can make 5e compatible D&D content forever without paying a dime or giving up our rights to our ideas, and Wizards can't stop that. For creators like me, it is a huge win. But does this mean that we sing Wizards' praises and forgive them for everything? No, not really. They have taken a huge step forward, in my opinion. They have bowed their heads and fixed a mess they made. That's good, but it doesn't undo the damage done to a lot of the community. Someone made that mess in the first place, and it's going to be very hard for some of us to forget that. The changes also say nothing about the future editions of D&D. Wizards of the Coast may very well put many of the same clauses and control elements in place for a new SRD and OGL when they release one D&D, 6th edition, whatever we call it. However, at least now, Wizards must convince us to play this new edition and convince creators that making content for it will be beneficial to them. They can't force us to sign up or lose our other works or rights or ownership of our ideas, because now, if one D&D or 6th edition doesn't live up to expectations, if it doesn't offer creators something in exchange, we can just keep making 5th edition content. We can keep playing D&D without giving Wizards a penny. So does this olive branch of Creative Commons and the 1.0 OGL being untouched make a good effort to start to rebuild trust with the community? Some folks have already walked away from D&D. They've moved to Pathfinder or other systems. They won't trust WotC again, and I don't blame them for that. Some folks are going to forgive and forget and keep playing the silly Dragon Wizard game with their mates because none of this stuff really mattered to them anyway. I don't blame them either. And then there are folks like myself and many other creators, people who love D&D with all our hearts and acknowledge that the current custodians of the game, Wizards, are in a precarious position. We've been burned more than once, and now our guard is up. But I'd rather be a vigilant watcher, keeping an eye on them and the game itself rather than walking away completely. Wizards of the Coast opened Pandora's box with this whole OGL debacle. Did they manage to close it before hope was lost to the world? I genuinely don't know. I said earlier I don't know what was next for me. This sudden backpedal from Wizards of the Coast and the Creative Commons change does influence the paths I thought I had to choose from. But I'm still going to make my own tabletop role-playing game. I'm still going to play and stream other systems and games. I'm still going to make 5e content and do advice for new DMs and GMs. But I'm not ready to trust Wizards again either. They still need to do more to earn my faith back. Maybe they don't want to, maybe they can't, maybe they will. I'll let them try, but I'll be watching them closer than ever. I'm still worried about the way some of their leadership talks about digital platforms being the future of D&D, or that D&D is under-monetized, and the rumors of a more video game-like experience in the next edition. I'm still worried that the way Hasbro Wizards leadership focuses on the Hollywood brand identity instead of the ambassadors and community that is the lifeblood of the game. So we'll see. But there's other stuff I want to focus on right now. It's been a long month with the shadow of all of this hanging over us, and I know my creator friends and I just want to get back to having fun and making cool stuff. Seriously, thanks again so much for your support and the wonderful comments on this whole thing. It's really given me a boost to get back into making videos and RPG stuff and just sharing it with you all. It's really made a huge difference. And I just wanted to say thanks and give you a little update on everything that's going on so you can make your own minds up about where you want to go with D&D, if you're going to keep playing D&D, if you're going to trust Wizards. All of that, that's down to you. That I can't make that decision for you. So I just want to give you that information and my thoughts and my feelings all about it. But that's it. That's it for this video. Till next time, be kind, stay safe, roll dice.